And back on the green carpet, here's Mr. David Brandt to talk about his Brandt Farms.
I'm Dave Brandt. We farm north of Carroll. We're right along Route 33. Have been doing conservation tillage and no-till since 1971. I've been working with cover crops since 1978. And today we just want to talk a little bit about how covers has worked in our operation to make our produce that we grow. We grow about 12 acres of produce. The cover crops suppress the weeds. They also help keep the insects down, and presently they're holding the moisture since we've not had any rain in April. So we're pretty fortunate to have some covers. We have about 250 acres of cover crops planted each year that goes to corn and soybeans, and about 4 or 5 acres of cover that we use for our pumpkins and gourds and some tomatoes that we're trying into rye with vetch. And I'm kind of technological illiterate, so I just use pictures instead of PowerPoint. But this is hairy vetch, and this is what I want to show you that is on our farm. And you can see it's a green carpet. It survives the winter. It'll put down probably 200 pounds of nitrogen, about 40 pounds of phosphorus, or holds 40 pounds of phosphorus, and it will hold about 100 pounds of potash. And you can see it's green. There's about 12,000 pounds of organic matter when we're going to plant corn or plant our pumpkins or whatever in it. And this is a picture of the planter that we use, planting corn. And this happens to be sweet corn in our vetch cover. And when we do this, we spray it off with a low rate of 2,4-D, which is our only herbicide, so we're saving about 70% of our herbicide costs, and it's going to supply all the nitrogen we need for our corn crop to make a good crop of sweet corn for us. In the last 3 or 4 years, we've been working with other cover crops such as radishes and Austrian winter peas. And with the planter you saw working in the vetch there, we were able to plant 2 species. And so we're planting Austrian winter peas and daikon oilseed radishes in 30-inch rows, but they're 15 inches apart. And what this does for us, we plant this after we harvest the wheat. And what this does then, the daikon radishes will get about 3 inches in diameter, about 20 inches deep in the soil. They freeze off in the winter, and the winter peas do too, so we have a clean place to do our tillage in the spring. And this has really helped us to loosen the soils, to move the moisture where we want it, either move it away from the soil surface or help bring it up, because in this dry weather the roots have decayed, and now we have this channel that the water is moving up from evaporation to help feed the root mass. This is what they look like probably in November. And here you can see the radishes. Here and they're about 22, 23 inches deep. This happens to be an Austrian winter pea down here. There's lots of roots around those. And like I say, they get about 3 inches in diameter. These radishes can be eaten. These are the radishes that they use in Oriental foods or in those type of things, in India and those. So we do sell some of these at our farmers markets after they get in pretty good size in the fall. And then this happens to be this happens to be sweet corn, and here you can see that the wheat, this residue is still there protecting the soil, but you can see the hole from the radish that we have, and we're finding we got about 200 pounds of nutrients available with our pea and radish mix being stored by the radishes, and as they decompose it gets re-released in the soil, and you can see that it lifted the soil just like we've done tillage, but we didn't have to use any equipment or any fuel or energy to do that with. We also use a lot of rye, and we use rye in our operation where we're going to go grow soybeans. And here's the tractor and the planter that we're planting rye, soybeans into standing rye. The rye is usually about 2.5, 3 foot tall. We go right in, and we can find anywhere from 5 to 6 more bushel per acre by using rye. And we also see a lot of suppression of diseases from the rye. Especially white mold becomes a problem where they're doing tillage. But when we use rye with it in a no-till situation, we don't see any white mold problems in our fields. The interesting thing we found out about the radishes and our pea combination is that as our radishes decompose, they fumigate the soil, and they tend to lower our cyst nematode count that would work on soybeans, and also the cyst that works on corn. And just last week we found that our radishes are actually helping to eliminate the slug pressure that we're seeing, because as we're digging the radishes, evaluating what they're doing, we're finding dead slugs around where the radishes are. So we may have a real key there to help us through those problems when we have to face insect problems when we have cold, damp weather. And that's kind of what we're doing on our farm. It's about a 900-acre farm, and we just kind of put together what the other speakers and David talked about and make it work on a large operation. So I'll try to answer any questions, and I thank you very much for asking me to come down. Yes.
Do you do anything different because cover in your vegetable, your kind of vegetable zone there? Do you use the same ones there, or do you not use certain cover crops in front of certain vegetable crops?
Most of our covers that we're using in our vegetables, we try to go with a legume type cover mixed with a cereal cover, because legumes will grow the nitrogen, put out a large amount of fibrous root systems, and then we use the rye because it will stay green, and we can actually roll this rye with a crimper and do not need to use a herbicide where we're using our rye and vetch. And then we don't need to buy any nutrients to make the tomatoes or the pumpkins grow, because the vetch or the peas have supplied enough nutrients for those crops.